our closing session for the day. I know many of you have joined us since 10 a.m. Eastern, so you've been with us celebrating all throughout the day. And so now, as we lead into our final session, I want you to remember our theme for our anniversary, a celebration and call to action. And our final special guest for the day, Holly Mackey, the Executive Director for the White House Initiative on American Indian and Alaska Native Education, will share some closing thoughts with us.
Well, thank you. Happy I get to close the day out so everyone knows who to be mad at if we get held over. So this has been a really moving day for me. And I think that it's been moving because Indian country is small and so many of us know each other and we have known each other. In fact, while it was a joke for a while, I'm glad to see that John is still working in higher ed because people said I broke John Tippeconic when he was my professor at Penn State and he retired the year I graduated. So I'm glad that's not true. Very glad that's not true. But I think but I think there's a few things I want to touch back on. You know, with the 50th anniversary, I want to talk about where we've come from. And I was listening to all of the former directors talk, and I've had the opportunity to learn at the feet of John Tippeconic. And so many of these things I knew, but some of them I didn't. And I think that one of the things that John was very good at shielding us from are the challenges, right? He always highlighted the success, the ways that our communities have been able to move forward. And I appreciate that now in retrospect, because it takes a lot of time to really develop that maturity and understanding of what we're supposed to be doing in order to step into the shoes of those who have been doing it and move that along effectively. And so I heard talk about appropriations, incredible where we've come in terms of appropriations from the beginning until now, if you don't count the Reagan years, which was a dip, but we anticipated that. I heard people talking about the parent committees, right? Which was something that was interesting to me, that the challenges that people had then are the challenges that we have now. And then also thinking about expanding understanding, right, across the different areas of ed, across the country, about what it means to be a Native person. And so all of these things were just kind of rolling around in my mind. And of course, being trained by John, I was also thinking about the data points and what do we do with this and how do we move this forward and where do we go? And I don't think that we can do that if we don't acknowledge all of the work that has been done. And there are a few things that I learned from John Tippeconic that I would like to share. The first is about work ethic. And what would happen is I would have all these assignments to do, and I would turn all of my assignments in to the professors that actually meant the least to me, knowing full well my Native professors would understand why I was late. And he had a really interesting conversation with me one time about priorities and work ethic. And from that moment forward, I've always prioritized our Native communities, right? There are many people who can wait. Our jobs are complex, but now is the time for our Native students and they can't wait. And they deserve our best every day. The second I learned is about giving. So as many of you who have gone through doctoral programs know, doctoral robes are incredibly expensive. And I got to the end and I didn't have any money and I couldn't afford to go. And then my parents said they were coming out. And John, who's also a graduate of the same school in the same program, allowed me to walk in his graduation robes in his doctoral regalia. And that's meant more to me than I've probably ever expressed to him. But it reminds me to remind all of us that the future is bright because we have these role models to draw from. And now we're sitting in a position to mentor and bring up the next generation of leaders. And we're all hard-headed and we're all just bashing our heads against the wall sometimes. But I think that the future is bright. Where we're going has a clear and bright path ahead of us. And I think that along with the parent committees, with the funding, with the accountability, without the foundations that all of our former directors have set, we would not be able to make the strides that we're making now. And we're working in an administration that allows us to make those strides because of the leadership of those who came before us. So in the spirit of my mentor, John Tippeconic, I would like to bestow upon Julian, our new leader, a gift from all of us. So Allison, can you reach behind you there? We've been hiding this from you all day.
Okay, let me get my camera ready.
Oprah. Okay, we need two native women to come and help and do this.
Wanda, you're right there. Annabelle, you're pretty
Yeah,
close.
there you go. So stand up, Julian. We would just like to honor you because now we have all of these people online who have guided us to where we're at. And now it's your responsibility to move us forward. It's your responsibility to guide us. And we take that. Oh, now I'm gonna cry, don't cry. So this is the NIEA 50th anniversary of Indian education blanket. That NIEA designed it and 8th generation is distributing it. So if you could please just put that across Julian's shoulders.
That's the other side. Gorgeous.
It's about the same.
You wanna run over there?
No, we can get pictures afterwards, but
Wanda, you wanna get in the picture?
I don't know if y'all can see that. Oh yeah, you can see it online.
Let's get a bunch, and I'm gonna zoom in on Julian's face here.
Because it is a big responsibility,
Yeah.
right? And you've taken it. And I know you work so hard in your role. And you have all of us behind you. So thank you so much for your work. And I will now allow you, I'm so sorry. I should have let you say your closing remarks. And then, so we'll now turn it over to Julian, and then I suspect we will get done just a little bit early today. And Stephen, grab yourself some cake and you have a meeting to go to.
leave without cake.
Yeah.
I will not. You know what? I might just take the whole thing.
There's vanilla on it.
People up there.
So for those of you who are online, if you're online and you heard earlier, when I was talking about our support staff and the people who are helping us here, Stephen works in Office of Legislative Affairs, and he's also been helping quite a bit with the initiative on the Hill for us. And so Julie and I have been very, very thankful for that. And now,
Okay.
sir, close
I
us
think I can
out.
do this. Man, well, this, I feel like I got lucky to realize that we were heading to the 50th anniversary. Because when I first joined the OIE, I wanted to address the National Advisory Council on Indian Ed. So I was like, what is the story behind AC? So then I had to open up the authorizing legislation. And then I was like, oh, 1972. That's not that old at all. But then also thinking about like June 23rd and knowing that this was an eminent date for us at the OIE, that it also created the Office of Indian Education. I thought to myself real quickly, like, I know without a doubt, we have to recognize the OIE, the people who have dedicated a part of their life to making sure that the OIE was a place of great support to Native communities. And if there's something so evident that continues to drive me every day, it's that tribal sovereignty is hard. It's incredibly hard. Tribal sovereignty is incredibly important in the same vein. So important that there are people who are not ready for the power differential that supporting sovereignty can cause in many spaces. We see this play out in relationship building when tribes and school districts attempt to partner, but it's hard to do that because sometimes it's giving up power to do the right thing. Requires a lot of trust, requires a lot of initiative, a lot of consistency. But most importantly, it requires people. And as Native people, the thing again that I'm most proud of is the way that we really work to value where we've come from and who we are and our community. And this is something that I don't see and hear anywhere else. I think there's a lot of organizations and a lot of people who push forward values, but it's hard to actually act on values. It's hard to actually work on values. It's easy to turn away when times get tough. It's easy to have disagreements and arguments and say, you know what, it's just not going to work. OIE, we have no choice. We have to do the hard work. We have to push through the hard things. And it gets easier to do that hard work when we do it together as a collective community. I dream of tribes being able to run their own programs, generate their next generation of citizens, not just members, but citizens. These are hard things to instill in people, especially as we find ourselves in so many affiliations of Native identity. The future of Native education is bright, and I certainly teared up very early on in today's event when Olani had shared that, I think it was something to the effect of,
Indigenous dawn.
yeah, exactly. That tomorrow is Native, every day is Native. And just those words really just truly resonate with me. And I know that they resonate with every single one of our staff here who care about this work. And I'm just incredibly lucky to be at the helm, but I'm not at the helm alone. And indeed, it's a huge mountain that we have to tackle. But I know that not only are we gonna get past that mountain, not only we're gonna champion that mountain, but it's about turning around and showing others a path on how to get up the same mountain that we got on. And it's so rewarding to have seen former directors take the time out of their day to join us. And again, as I mentioned, I'm convinced that there's no other office in this agency across the federal government who attempts to do these sorts of things. I've never seen it, but we just made an attempt at doing it. And we're going to continue to do it in many aspects. And that's what gives me hope and strength. And, this is, again, this call to action is very appropriate. That onward to the next 50 years, because the future is Native. Certainly is. Thank you very much. Oh, yes. We invite former directors to also close us out with any thoughts and words.
Hi, this is Janelle.
Go ahead.
So I just wanted to say, once again, thanks so much for inviting me to be a part of this, the celebration. And I am in the neighborhood, and as I have said to many, certainly on the NACI board and former people that you have had on the discussion today, that I'm always willing, I'm always able to, in any way that I can be of assistance. I still, it's a part of me. And with every new initiative that comes out, I always have an eye, a lens on how will this program, this funding program, whether it's commerce, labor, anyone, how does this serve Native American people? And so I always have an ear out, an eye out, and I'm listening, and I'm talking with my friends and sharing information as I get it. So congratulations again, Julian. Just know that we are here to help you. We're not in the department, but we're around, and feel free to call on us anytime. Okay, I speak for others as well. I took that liberty.
And thank you, Janelle. That goes for all of us. Thank you.
Hi, this is John Tipiconic once again. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, great. I just want to say that, I'm very optimistic also about the future. I think it is bright. I continue to, even in my old age, to be involved in working with young people and adults too, but young people. I'm teaching courses in American Indian Studies. We focus on education, but more importantly, we focus on the students and who they are. And there's a tremendous amount of interest and students and learning about who they are. Not only that, but leadership kinds of activities, how they can become a leader. And they seem to be, many of them are grounded, in who they are. And I think that's an important piece of it. You know, and you have some confidence, and you believe in who you are. You remember your elders and your ancestors, and those people that were there before us and what they did in order for us to be a part of what we're doing today. And the young people express a lot of interest. So I'm very optimistic, in the future of OIE and BIE and all the programs and the states and the colleges and universities, and with the tribes and the language programs that are taking place in the communities. So there's a lot happening, and I think the future is bright, and it's really a pleasure for me to be a part of all of that. And thank you, all of you in OIE, for doing what you're doing. It's not an easy job. It's difficult at times. There's ups and downs, but the important thing is to remember that we are there together, and we're making a difference for those people that are in school today, or those people who are having difficulty and whatever they're doing, and really promoting education that's relevant to who they are. So thanks. It's really been a pleasure to be part of this.
Hello.
You're on.
Hey, Dr. Gibb, we can hear you.
Yeah, I just wanted to, I would second everything that John has said, and that John and I have been friends for many, many years. We worked together at Penn State, and I was the first director of the leadership program there, and John came back and finished his doctorate there and helped me out with the program. So we've known each other for a long time, and we think a lot alike, and have had a lot of the same goals and so forth. So, and I'm glad that our relationship has continued over the years with other graduates of programs like the leadership program. But I just want to mention a couple things. Bernard Garcia had mentioned forward funding. And I think that's something that if you can ever get that institution through Congress, you can make multi-year awards, and you don't have to be guessing what's it going to be like next year. And there are programs that you could take a look at that have forward funding that maybe you could, try to institute something like that through Congress. I think that would really help your staff. The other thing is that I wanted to do while I was there, but of course I never came close to it because we were just trying to survive early on, was to create an archive of successful programs and catalog those in such a way so that the new grantees that might come in, they have something to look at, but they should have access to it. Now, I know that's a lot of work, but maybe there's pieces or parts of the department that could do that for you rather than try to do it within OIE, because there's a wealth of knowledge there that's been collected through the proposals that have been written. And I'm assuming that each year, if a proposal is brought into the office, that they also tell you what they've been doing. What are the successes? What are they focusing on? How are they collaborating? All kinds of ideas that are out there that are already being implemented, but are they being shared? So I think that's a critical point. If we really want to talk about continued change in the future, we need to capitalize on what's been done the past 50 years with these programs. And that's something I thought about early on, but there was no way that we could even begin to talk about that in the early stages. And of course, I've always, as an Indian person growing up on the Standing Rock Sioux Reservation, I grew up and I attended a BIA boarding school on reservation. And our school was clearly lacking terribly. And it meant for me to go to college to go through remedial courses. And that didn't take very long. I always believed that I had the wherewithal to go to college, but I was clearly lacking in the basic skills. But anyway, I guess one of the wishes that I had in my leadership roles throughout my time was that if we could convince a president to declare Indian education a national priority. And if he would do that, then hopefully we could take advantage of a lot of resources that are already out there. Programs that are operating educational programs, training programs, all kinds of things that could work together in some way and get the agencies to make commitments for funding those kinds of programs and collaboration with other agencies as well. And I know the White House Initiative has that kind of, interest in doing that kind of thing. But if you can get the president to state, publicly, Indian education is a national priority, that'd be a big step forward. Anyway, thank you again for inviting me, and I really appreciate the time that I spent today learning more about how things have progressed. And I really worry about your small staff with all that you have to do. So good luck to you in the future.
Thank you. We're going to need it. Thank you, Dr. Gibb.
Thank you.
And Julian, I'll also share that Amy Lloyd, Assistant Secretary of the Office of Career, Technical, and Adult Education, shared in the chat. She said, "The future is Native. Here's to the next 50 years and the next 50 plus generations of Native excellence in education. Thank you, OIE."
Thank you, Amy. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. Hear that.
And the only other former director we still have online is Mr. Antel, if he would like to share a few words. And he may have had to step away here at the end of the day.
Sarah, is Amy still on with us? Is there a way that she could be elevated to panelist in case she wants to say anything?
Absolutely.
And while she's doing that, I just saw, Sidna, your comment. Part of the notes I've been taking today from the former directors are the different initiatives and products that they created that we might pick up and build on. And that White House conference was one of them. So I noted to touch back with Dr. Tipaconic to see kind of how he did it. He said that some of the pieces weren't necessarily as effective as others. So how can we recreate that? I think that we would like to pick up on some of the different resolutions that were produced as a part of that. So I would like to see the former directors, perhaps a reconvening, where we can really pick up on some of the work and highlight the continuity and make sure we're not recreating the wheel, because we already have such a strong foundation.
A director think tank.
Director think tank.
Exactly. Yeah.
And Amy has been able to now join us as a panelist.
Great. Welcome, Amy. Thank you for joining us. If you're speaking, you might be on mute there.
She said her once.
She said.
We'll take that. We'll take that as a sign we're ready to wrap up here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes creator tells you when it's time.
Yes. Well, when I do meetings, I love to give time back. So I want to give time back to all those who stayed with us from the very get-go. I know many of you joined even before 10 o'clock. You were online 9 o'clock, 9:30. We truly appreciate the time you spent with us. Again, today was a celebration, reflection, and hopefully for many of you, an inspiration for the future for us. And if anything, as we close today's celebration, we begin the preparation to do the duty and due diligence that we have to do for advancing Native education throughout the country, these United States, and helping Native students succeed in the many environments that they're in. So, here's to the next 50 years.
Yeah.